pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to films I should have talked about years ago. And so now, of all things that I've talked about from the mid-90s, this one seems to be more obscure and not as well known as a good majority of others. Tall Tale. This stars the likes of Nick Stahl, Patrick Swayze, Scott Glenn, Oliver Platt, and a variety of other actors. It centers upon a young boy whose family is being threatened by a greedy landowner, a business tycoon of some sorts, who basically wants to purchase the land that his own farm sits on. And while he himself at first disagrees with the farm, he runs off after supposedly his father gets shot by this owner's goons. It turns out that they are willing to do anything, including kill the family, in order to get a hold of that land. And I'd say that, at least for a precursor to what Nick Stahl's unfortunate film career future would turn up, this actually does put it together for him in a way that seems promising. But unfortunately, as with most actors that have played John Connor from The Terminator, he did get the chance to do so less than a decade later with Terminator 3. And it is so far his best known role, specifically because Terminator 3 happened to be an unlikely success at the time. Well, anyways, what Tall Tale simply gives us is a dream specifically on how supposedly, while the sleep on the boat had taken place, it unfortunately was able to drift off down the river far away into a certain desert. The boy's caught by a few hillbillies and is in fact met upon by the legendary fictional cowboy who rides tornadoes and his own special horse, Pecos Bill, who in this film is played by Patrick Swayze. Swayze offers to help, so that way both the family and the farm are safe and sound. But of course, as time goes by, when the group ends up meeting up with other legends, including railroad worker John Henry, as well as the famous lumberjack Paul Bunyan and his famous blue cow, it's rather apparent that with three of these well-known 19th century fictional legends, it always turns out that it is in fact a boy's dream. A dream, of course, that helps to build courage, to help him to fight back. And so what we end up seeing by the end of the movie is that Scott Glenn, once again, tries to claim a hold of the land, but is unsuccessful in doing so. And the reason for this is because this one child comes prepared, takes Henry's sledgehammer, and causes a mine to collapse. The cave itself fills up with debris, dirt, wood, and etc., proving once and for all that nothing is going to come between him, his family, his farm, or anything in his life ever again. So of course you could probably look at it any other way, but Tall Tale actually is something that I remembered so well. It seemed like a great concept. A land is threatened by a greedy landowner, and one child embarks on a special quest to be able to fight back, take back the land that is under pressure from these people. And I do feel like with a lot of movies, the concept is really an interesting and promising path that takes place. But not all cases are able to come together so well. And maybe some people out there might think of this differently, but it's one of the most memorable of 1995 that I recall so well. As a matter of fact, 95 had a lot of great stuff put in there. Much of it was very obscure, especially with a lot of the likes of other such popular films that had taken place from that point on. Toy Story, Apollo 13, and even, of course, Clueless. But those just serve as a baseline as to what the year 1995 had to offer in terms of feature-length films that were mostly theatrically released. But in this case, this is just one of the lesser-known picks that you might want to check out. Maybe for one rental, might be worth it then, but in the case where you might feel like you might want to watch it again, then just simply rent it again. I probably wouldn't recommend buying movies, as a lot of times the prices on those get so jacked up and it just wouldn't work out all too well. So of course, Tall Tale has itself a nice cast, a really well-detailed storyline, some pretty impressive acting for what it is, and of course you really gotta love Swayze's impressive comebacks to most insults that he gets from other characters within this film. So what do I give it in terms of the KFN official scoring? Well, it's quite simple. 7.0. Somewhat subtle in a way, but I do feel like it's only fair that I give it a somewhat fair scoring from my own picture. And some people might look at it in different ways. Of course, with reviews that have come out on multiple mainstream platforms that regard to film critics, it sure is fair to say this film has had a lot to do with modern day reviews. Seeing as most people are actually catching on to it now, I'd say I'm right here in the nick of time. The timing is perfect in this instance. So with that in mind, thank you very much. And do check in tomorrow, as I will have more of this stuff up and running. And make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.